Hi, Will. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah. So we might as well just go straight back to the beginning. How did the band Marseille come to be?
Well, it basically just started through. Me and our guitarist went to school together, so we've always had that connection. So we've been in bands together and stuff before, and then lockdown came around, and that's when we decided to start another one, which eventually became Marseille. So once like all the restrictions were lifted and stuff, went scouting out for the rest of the band and stuff. And then we got Tom, Lennon, Will joined recently as well. So that's how it's all came about.
You mentioned there that the band came about in lockdown. Did that being in lockdown help your creativity or hinder it?
I think it was like really beneficial lockdown personally. Obviously, not in the grand scheme of things, but in terms of creating music, it was because it forced us to do something. But like again, it made us like have to work on our craft before we ran, before we could walk. So
Yeah.
we had to do it behind closed doors, and rather than doing gigs before we were actually ready, we were forced to like just sit back and write, and that's been really beneficial for us because we had all these songs ready to go and practice when we got the restrictions lifted.
Uh, you mentioned that it helped your creativity. Like nowadays, do you have a lot of distractions when you try to make music and write music?
Yeah, well, it's difficult to find time to write music nowadays because we're gigging all the time. We're always doing stuff. Um, like a lot of being in a band now is just emailing people and messaging people and posting. And honestly, when I'm balancing all that, it's hard to find the time to write. But when I do write, um, it feels good. It feels like I've actually done something that's like more of a treat. It feels like more of a treat when I do it.
Yeah, like it gives you like a rewarding feeling.
Yeah, it's the actual reason why I'm in a band. Sometimes I forget.
So the name Marseille, how did that come about?
Well, similar to this now, I'm wearing an AC Milan kit. When I was on a Zoom call with Joe and we're talking about what we wanted to call the band, I was wearing a Marseille kit, and that was it. I was just saying that's what we're going to call it.
So if you'd been wearing that, they could have been called Milan. You
Yeah,
could
yeah,
have,
we could have been easily called Milan. I also have a Dortmund kit, so it could have been called Dortmund as well.
it won't work with English clubs. It won't suit a name, would it?
No, because if you're called like Spurs, everyone just hate you for the fact you're called Spurs.
You're a Derby fan, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
That would have been
To
a
get
very
older,
good
yeah. Well, probably another reason why I never find time to write songs, but
name.
it's over now, so got loads of time.
So you're the main songwriter in the band. Where does inspiration come from?
It depends what when you ask me really, because when we first started, it was obviously like Oasis Stone Roses, like your essentials really. Writing now, I don't really go into it with a mindset. I just write and think, oh, that sounds a bit like this. It sounds a bit like that. I think probably the Verve and Charlatans are my current influences when I try and write.
Speaking of Oasis and the Stone Roses, I saw some comments on the band. You had a lot of positive ones, but there was also ones of saying like, "You sound like Oasis and the Stone Roses, and it's all been heard before." What do you say to that?
Well, I say to that is that like when they came out, they had the exact same comments, like saying you're copying the Beatles, the Stones, you're copying the Birds. You sound like this, you sound like that. I think what's wrong with today is that everybody needs to compare something to something else. When you don't want to do that because when they do something that doesn't sound like that, you're going to be like, it doesn't sound like that. Like so, it's hard to explain because like I think because everything's got to be compared to something. Uh, they don't like it if you don't sound familiar, but they also don't like it if you do sound too familiar. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. I think
Yeah,
it's just great that there's guitar bands coming back through now because it's been like last 10, 15 years not really been a big
yeah.
like a big
Yeah.
scene in British music.
The thing is, what annoys me as well is the fact that there's so many bands that all sound like the same band. Like I think there's so many of them, and they never get slated for sounding like this band. Like they never get slated for sounding like 1975 or whatever, whoever their influence. There's about 500, well, probably more than that. There's like thousands of bands that sound like that and all sound the same, but everyone loves them. Never get slated. It's all part of something new. But if you sound like Oasis or the Stone Roses, hang 'em. That's what. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You artwork is like the Stone Roses. Do you think that brings comparisons as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's got to be a reason why. With that, to be fair, we didn't have much say over the artwork. Um, it was just sort of we needed artwork, and our designer gave us that pretty last minute. Obviously, it's cool. We love the Stone Roses. We love Jackson Pollock. I think that's cool as, and obviously he's a big fan of Jackson Pollock. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a reason why we get it because I think it distracts from what the EP sounds like. Because if you ask me, I think when I was writing that, it was probably more influenced by Scouse bands.
I'm
And
going to say one of them. Oh, what's the song? Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but it sounds like the choral. Brighter.
Brightest Star, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Bright Star.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So is that what you
yeah.
take?
It's inspired by like the choral a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of singles, your newest single, "She Can Fly," came out last month. What was that? What was it like getting another single out there?
Well, that's one with it's like fairly new. It's like a lot of the songs we've put out is stuff we've been sitting on for years. Like obviously, I told you with writing in lockdown and stuff. So some of it's like 4 years old, and like with that one, it was written like a month before we went to the studio in October. So that song's only been around for a few months. It's less than a year old. So it's a bit weird putting out something that's not ages old.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's one of your best songs. What's the story behind it?
Well, to be honest, we were just going to do a photo shoot afterwards. So I just thought I'll just set my guitar for a little bit. And one of the few times I've found time. Um, and I just, the first thing I started singing was She Can Fly, Fly, the chorus bit. And then I just made it a bit more psychedelic, took it to the band, just let them do their spacey stuff on it. And we had a song.
So, speaking of singles, your first single, "Forget It All," that was quite like a decent hit. Played on Soccer AM and radio on the radio and stuff. What was that time like?
Well, with that, I remember I think I was just being cheeky, to be fair. I just went like, Um, oh, I love Soccer AM, I'd love to get on it. I was just saying that to our PR person, and she was like, "Oh, I'll see what I can do." And 2 weeks later, I got an email saying it was going to be on Soccer AM. So, yeah, it's pretty mental. And obviously, I grew up watching that show, like being a Derby fan and whatnot. I used to always come in every Saturday after playing football in the morning and watch it. So, yeah, it was a massive moment for us.
It's between the first single and your latest one. It's been 2 years. What's that journey been like?
Well, we're evolving all the time. I mean, forget it all. It's sort of like homage to the Lars and whatever and Cast. I think when I wrote it, I thought I'm going to write something like Cast or the Lars, which is yeah. But I think now we're not bothered about sounding like anyone. Like we just want to make music we like, really, and that's it. Like I think that's the difference now. We just write whatever we want.
Yeah, if you've got a single coming out in September, but you can pre-order it now. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's the whole EP. So that's got like Monkey Middle on it. She Can Fly. The next single that's coming out, it's really strong, and it's a proper strong EP.
Is it your best work so far? Do you think?
I'd say so because we're learning everything like all the time. I mean, we're all really young, so we're always learning stuff. So I'm only 19, Lennon's 18. So like when 2 years ago when we are putting out Forget It All and stuff, we're only 16 years old. So like we're just like learning on the job.
Band you remind me of are Pastel, another up and coming band, and you played with them and stuff. What's it like within the music business now with these up and coming bands?
I think it's great to be honest. I'm really happy that there's sort of a scene for it, and Pastel are a great band. I've got loads of respect for them. Um, and it was great to support them. So I'm really excited for the future of guitar music at the minute, and I think there's loads of other bands that are beginning to look up to the likes of Pastel and may I dare so say myself. Maybe our bands people look up to. Don't know why,
is
but
the
yeah,
is you supported the Bluetones as well? What was that like?
yeah, that was like on a whim as well. Like with Soccer AM. I sort of was a bit cheeky and just said, found the promoter and was like, "Oh, I would love to support the Bluetones," and I was not expecting anything of it. He was just like, "Yeah, you're on it," and that was awesome. We played in front of 700 people, got loads of new fans through that, and it's somewhere we've never played before. Lancaster. I can't imagine there's much of a music scene, but clearly there is.
What is that like your highlight your career so far, your music career?
Oh, it's definitely one of them. Yeah. I'll always say it's our own shows that are our highlights, like when we go and do our own headline slots and people see how good we are. Because I think live, we're a different story to what we are on records.
Well, mentioning headline tours, you doing a tour in September. Where are you playing? If there's anybody watching that wants to come and catch a gig.
Well, we're doing 10 dates. We're playing Manchester at the Deaf Institute, which I'm buzzing about. I can't wait to do that one. Then we've got Sheffield, Halifax, Glasgow, Newcastle, Southampton, Brighton, London, Birmingham, and Nottingham.
Are you looking forward to it then? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for tickets are selling really well. Obviously, I underestimated ourselves a little bit with ticket sales. Honestly, our promoter was like saying, "Oh, you can do 200 capacity venues now." I was like, "No, you can't." You're having a laugh, mate. And like we've started now, and a lot of the tickets are now reaching 100, so we're like 50% there. We've still got about 4 months to go until the tour. So yeah, it's an exciting time. Really, really looking forward to it.
We mentioned before you got played on Soccer AM and on the radio and stuff. How important is that exposure for an up and coming band?
It's massive. Like I think honestly, we probably would get to where we are eventually, but I don't think we would have got where we are as quick as we did if we didn't have Soccer AM. Like the
Really?
Soccer AM was the thing that kick-started it. Like always with us, we were around 200 followers for ages, stuck in that rut. And then as soon as we got onto Soccer AM and just had that exposure, it just took off from there. We've always been like, people know of us now. Whereas before we were like proper underground. If you said it to anyone, it was like, who? But I feel like we can name drop us sometimes, like in quite a few environments, like in the guitar scene, and people would know at least the name.
Yeah, yeah. What is that? Soccer AM was important for that, like playing tunes for up and coming bands, but that's not there anymore now, is it? Soccer AM.
Yeah, they need something like that back, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like another channel that takes it on, like if it's not Sky, if someone like I reckon like Four could take it on. Channel Four could take it. There's got Sunday brunch on Sunday, Soccer AM on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So speaking of playing live, you've played a few festivals like the Isle of Wight. What was that like?
Well, we're playing it again this year. I'm looking forward to that. Like the first time we played it, um, we played in front of about 300 people, and that was dead good. And loads of people were hyped about us. It was when sort of that year where we had Soccer AM and stuff, and the momentum was really growing. So there's quite a few people there. But then we came back the year after, and the crowd had like doubled in size. We were playing to like 600 people because clearly those people had probably been there before. The name's grown a bit, and I'm looking forward to playing it this year at this feeling stage.
You play why not as well? Is that right?
Yeah, we played that before, but when we played it, we were on like literally the smallest stage at the whole festival, and I think the tent could only probably fit about 100 people in there, and it was leaking out. Obviously, we're local to Why Not, so like people know of us around there. And this time we're on the second biggest stage, the whole thing. There's I think 5,000, I think. So it's gonna be good to play that. Can't wait for that.
I'm guessing festivals and support acts, like you mentioned with the Blue Tones, expose the band more and bring in more fans. So that's important as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, our live show is much better than our records. It's a problem we've always sort of struggled with. We've never found the right sound studio, and it's something we're looking to correct. Like, obviously, we've got loads of time, but until we find that right person, we're not going to throw ourselves into an album. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So,
yeah, I understand. Yeah, yeah.
and like we just need to get the record to sound like what we do live because live we're clearly doing something right.
Yeah,
And
I've
I
seen
think
some clips like
sometimes
that.
listeners on the face of it and think, yeah, it's all right, got something there, potential. But like when you see us live, we're like the full package. It's like, yeah, these are going somewhere.
Well, yeah, I have seen some clips of you live, and it does look really good, and you do look really good live.
Cheers, mate.
Um, so is it true your bass player's left the band? Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's a bit of an exclusive here. We're quickly looking for someone, so we should be sorted pretty soon. We
Boy,
just don't get on with bass players. I don't know why.
have you had a few lineup changes?
It's always been bass. Always
Oh,
been the
really?
bass player. Yeah, we've had about four in the past 2 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're just horrible. We're the worst people to work with in the world.
Why?
I don't know. We just clearly piss off bass players, don't we?
Or is it left on like a bit sour then? Is it not a
No, no,
mutual?
no. He just. I think it was just personal reasons. Same with the last guy. Personal reasons. We get on with him. We still chat to him, but it's clearly we're doing something wrong because both of them in personal reasons.
So once you get a bass player and play these shows live, what else have you got planned for the future after that?
Well, just keep growing, really. I think after we've played this tour, we're going to probably go a bit quiet in terms of doing headline shows. I think we'd probably look to do supports, as you say, like that's so beneficial for getting you out there. Like more stuff like the Bluetones or whatever, and get on sports like that and release new music. Just get ourselves to a wider audience until we feel like, yeah, we could do an album and have a good stab at getting in the charts. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just about building experience, really, isn't it?
yeah, just getting the name out there and spreading the word all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. So just before we finish, is there anything you'd like to say about the new EP coming out? Like tell people when it's out and stuff like that?
Yeah, the EP is coming out on the bloody hell, why have I forgot? No, 13th of September it's coming out. Um, and it's like our strongest work to date. It's like where we've come into our own and fuse genres together, like obviously take stuff from the 90s like we do and take influences from everywhere that we like, but we've got sort of fusing 90s Manchester with shoegaze and whatever. And that's what really has been working for us. So if you're into any of that sort of music, that's the EP for you this year.
I was going to say I'd recommend anybody watching to check the band out because I think they're gonna go places.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
No worries. Thank you for coming on the podcast. It was great to speak to you, and
Yeah,
good luck
cheers,
with
mate.
everything in the future.
Yeah, you too.